fun conversation.
Gucci. See some friends here.
And it'll be a fun conversation.
Gucci. See some friends here.
And it'll be a fun conversation.
No.
Gucci. See some friends here.
And it'll be a fun conversation.
No.
Testing. Can everyone hear me?
Yep, sounds great.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Cool. Who is guest 47? I love that. Oh my God, it's Hasbullah.
Whoa, it is.
Didn't even think to do that. That's freaking great. Testing. Can everyone hear me?
Yep, sounds great.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Cool.
Oh, Merv. Hi, Merv.
All right. Just testing one more time. Sorry, I could hear my own YouTube stream, so I'm just trying to figure this out. But we're good to go, yeah?
Let's
If
go.
my
Ready.
fellow panelists could just give me a ready, yeah? All right. Cool. So anyone who's here in the Mona space, please come through the pool. You'll find myself. Katie is, well, actually, here, let's do this. Let's do a quick round of intros so everyone can kind of talk about themselves. Please let everyone here know which avatar you are, because obviously right now, and maybe this speaks to the nature of the metaverse, we just need to figure out who is who. So for me, I'm Blake, one of the co-founders of Myosin XYZ. We are a growth marketing product studio, helping Web3 brands scale and helping Web2 companies enter the space. Today, we're going to be talking about Metaverse and immersive media and what that can really mean for brands and companies and mainstream users moving forward and how they can enter the space. And we have some really awesome guests here on the panel where I think we're going to have some really interesting conversation around what all of this means. So with that being said, I'll hand it off to Katie. Do you want to kick things off and talk about yourself, EveryRealm, and then hand the mic off to the next person?
Absolutely. Okay, I'm gonna wave. We'll see if I stop waving, but thanks, Blake.
Yes.
I'm Katie Whitkin. I am the Chief Marketing Officer of EveryRealm. We are an immersive media company, and what we mean by that is we build technology and products for the social gaming generation. We'll probably get more into how we define immersive media later, but Metaverse is definitely a part of that ecosystem. I'm excited to be here, and I will pass it off to Justin. Just don't know how to stop waving.
Hey, thanks, Katie. Hey everyone, my name is Justin. I am sitting by the pool here as the Rave Pepe avatar by Geberg Shang. But yeah, I'm a co-founder and the CEO of Mona, which is obviously the platform hosting this space. Thanks to Blake and Myosin. Super stoked to be here with you all and have this conversation with such legends here with Katie and Tang Poco.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tang Poco. I'm, I guess what you would call a Metaverse power user. I am a community leader and event organizer in Decentraland. I'm the founder of Dollhouse, which is the premier venue in Decentraland, and also the founder of House of Tang, which is a building and development company inside, again, Decentraland.
Love it. Love it. All right. So we have some intros. I think we have some context. We'd love to just start diving in and start asking questions. So I think to kick things off, let's start really broad, which is number one, I guess, I think, talking about metaverse, right? I think it's such a loaded term for so many people. So we'd love to get everyone's take here. In terms of, how do you define the metaverse in today's context in 2023, knowing what we do now about the technologies, where they are, and a little past this kind of like peak of inflated expectations. And then the follow-up to that is kind of like, how do we think about immersive media and what's the difference between the two? So this is kind of an open question. So we can start with Katie, we can start with Tang, Justin, whoever wants to kind of speak up and start, and then we can proceed from there.
Justin, you want to take this one?
Yeah, definitely. So in terms of, so this is defining the metaverse really broadly with immersive media. That's kind of where we're going with this, right, Blake?
Yeah, just to get started.
Yeah. So, the metaverse is a term that gets thrown around a lot. And I think to think of it in the simplest way and in a way that I think hopefully is really understandable for everyone, in its simplest form, we at Mona really believe that the future of the internet is immersive, and we see the metaverse as this future evolution of the internet. I think that's the easiest way to think about it. Over the next 5 to 10, 20 years, we're going to start seeing more and more of this transition for humanity consuming content via 2D interfaces to consuming content in 3 dimensions, eventually with 3-dimensional digital content blending seamlessly with the world around us. This whole concept, with us gathering in this virtual space here with our avatars, this is really the embodiment of the metaverse. And I think that's kind of the easiest way to think about it.
Love it. Love it. Katie, we'd love to hear your thoughts and responses to that.
No, absolutely. Justin, I couldn't agree with you more. I think we at EveryRealm decided to pivot a bit instead of just going hard on using metaverse as we did like many others last year. We really kind of look at this as all immersive media, which can include social video game like virtual worlds, AR, VR, any haptic device, and also the metaverse as well. I mean, some folks battle whether a metaverse can be centralized versus decentralized, but I think we just figured that immersive media, which was a growing industry, encompasses all of these things. And as Justin had alluded to, we believe that these 3D virtual worlds that are inherently social and global are going to be, and they are the extension of how we are consuming media now. And it's just a matter of time, given how the adoption rates of our younger generations. So I'm glad, Justin, that we agree.
I agree with Justin and with Katie. I think that the metaverse is going to really be a combination of a lot of mixed reality experiences. I think that looking at it as an alternative to real life, like we maybe did a couple of years ago when the hype train first started, that's not really the way it should be looked at. It should be looked at as more of an extension or an enhancement of things that are happening in the real world for us. I think that it's definitely the future, 5, 10, 20 years. I think with the advent of AI and everything that we've seen in the last 3 months, my whole concept of time is so skewed right now. It could happen a lot faster than that too,
Mhm.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree with Justin and Katie. It's not going anywhere.
I love it. I love it. So let's dive a little bit deeper into that then, right? Because I think particularly with Metaverse, there's again, as we just talked about, it's such a there's a lot of misconceptions. There's a lot of, I think, questions about it, right? So I think what I'd love to dive into is like with all that buzz that was, when it was really hot last year, and now everyone's moving, people are people, right? They kind of flock to where the new things are, and I think now even with Web3, they're moving away from that and thinking about AI. So then there's a question of like with Metaverse, like where are we today, right? Like in terms of technologies that we have, and I think something very interesting, and I pose this to all of you, is what are the biggest challenges we face, right? And well, let's just start there. There's so much to dig into, but again, this is a really great group of people to talk to about all this. So, yeah, what are the biggest challenges we face today in terms of adoption of quote unquote metaverse and how that evolves and becomes a real industry?
I'm happy.
I can hand it off to someone specific if we want, or it's up to you guys. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
So what I love about this group is we are all at the forefront of this industry and
Yeah.
understand where we are in evolving. But what's something that I think what the biggest hurdle that we need to overcome and or accept and pivot away from is this idea that we are going to change behavior of older generations. I think these younger generations are inherently attracted to experiences that are gamified, that they use their avatar, they're on their mobile device, they're on their desktop. We did not have that, and so to assume that all of a sudden someone's going to want to date in the metaverse when they have their mobile app in front of them and dating is super easy and there's not much of a difference at this moment, that hurdle of understanding that the likelihood of us at the way that the technology is currently going to add value to that person's life enough so that they're going to change their behavior is we kind of have to move over that hurdle and accept that these younger generations, which is not, they're young, but it's like anyone sub 20 years old, right? They're on Roblox, they're on Fortnite, they're on Minecraft. They are not necessarily identifying as gamers. It's much more mass market in those generations. And so I think understanding how they're using
Sorry, there's a lot of like movement in and out.
Yeah. Did I offend
But
anyone?
No, okay. Oh, I think maybe. Can everyone hear me?
I can hear you. I rugged, but I'm back.
Yeah, I think I got rugged too. Yeah, I think while Katie and Blake, I think they're going to be loading back in. But yeah, I definitely agree with what Katie was saying. I think you have an entire generation, this like Gen A or Gen Alpha generation that is growing up, that are really what I would call metaverse native, where if like millennials and Gen Z, they grew up with cell phones and, as digitally native. I think we have this entire new generation now that it's just so commonplace to hang out with their friends in virtual worlds like Roblox, Fortnite, even more so than in person. I think, yeah, Katie, Blake, I think everyone got rugged. So while you were coming back, I was just saying that I really wholeheartedly agree with what you were saying, Katie, where it's like this entire new generation that's growing up now is so much more accustomed to, I think, current generations to, having a digital identity, virtual avatars, transacting in virtual spaces, purchasing digital collectibles. I think that's going to be really key. I think it's a misconception for folks to think that we're going to change the way an entire generation thinks about things. Although I will say, I think perspectives have been shifting, things are changing, but I think the thing for everyone to realize is that it extends much further than the hype that they see in these like marketing cycles where really people publishing these articles are trying to drive clicks, right? It is much further than that.
Got it. Got it. So then I guess digging deeper on that, right? When we talk about changing user behaviors and or the difficulties, I guess, with changing user behavior, I guess I think right now with when people talk about metaverse, they obviously talk about, I think I was actually talking to someone at a big brand the other day and they were talking about Roblox and Fortnite and how they've really leaned into kind of creating bespoke experiences with brands. So I guess maybe this is a question for you, Justin, is, how do you see Mona kind of fitting into the bigger picture of, all these different metaverses and, what are the behaviors that, we can really lean into and make a difference with? Um, yeah, I don't know, does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. It's a great question. I think what we're seeing is that people want exciting, fun things to do inside the metaverse. I think what makes a platform like Roblox and Fortnite so effective is, their focus on this younger generation, but also their focus on UGC and gaming. And, that's where I see Mona fitting in is really providing this platform that empowers creators, developers to launch their own immersive, interactive, web-based experiences. We are really essentially a UGC platform. And so I think that's going to be really, really key. But going a step further, I think you can't really have the metaverse without decentralization. And while, I think Roblox, Fortnite, these are really, really excellent experiences that we can all learn a lot from a UX perspective. At the end of the day, you're still locked into those platforms. And that's what I think makes our platform really valuable is that creators can, build and authenticate these 3D assets that are decentralized and then bring them anywhere. And so I think that's really, really key to the future evolution of this. And, I see Mona as that visual abstraction for the ownership of decentralized 3D assets.
I love that. I love that. And I would love to kind of get Tang's take on all this, right? Because Tang, I think a lot of people know you from kind of like your role and I mean, for those who may not be aware, right? Like Tang is and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you're the first supermodel on Metaverse Fashion Week. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. And I've been in the space for
Yeah.
a lot longer than that. That was just something that kind
Yeah.
of happened in the last few months. But
Of course.
we've been doing events and working with brands, bringing them into Decentraland for a couple of years now. And being the supermodel of Fashion Week, I think was really a way for brands and for the foundation of Decentraland, who's kind of our leadership team when it comes to big events like that. Really a way for them to really bring the community into this event and let us talk to the brands that were exhibiting there. And that's something really important to bring up. I think when you're talking about bringing brands into the metaverse, is that it's not just about showing your work. It's about connecting with the community. It's about connecting with the culture, finding ways that you can support creators. And that's the story that we should be giving to brands. That's what we should be talking to when they come in. It's about how they can serve and be a part of the culture that's already here.
I love that. I love that. Cool. Sorry. I'm just like balancing a couple different things here. Got it. So, and then this is actually maybe I'll jump. I'm just going to jump all over it on a bunch of different fronts. But I have a question actually for Katie, which is as you're working with and talking to different companies and brands, right? Like, do you see any particular kind of like industry parallels, or I guess industries that are particularly interested in this space? I think probably fashion is obviously a big one, as Tank can probably attest to. But what are the kind of overall trends we're seeing in the space right now when it comes to brands starting to enter the space and get curious about what they can do and what they can interact with within metaverses? And Kate, if you're talking, you might be muted or you might have to turn on your mic. I'm not sure.
Muted out. I messed
Oh,
up.
there you go.
There you go. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
It's a good question. I think, I mean, candidly, I think those that have a brand marketing budget are unable to understand that there isn't going to be necessarily revenue driven right away from entering. And it's much more about brand building, value building, community building, as Tang said, are the ones who are doing, I think, much or who are much more interested in being involved and understand the longer term vision. And I I mean, ultimately, I think the brands that also understand the future purchasers and how
Mm-hmm.
they're engaging with brands, what the value they want to extract from the brands that they're invested in. Those who can look, right, as we were saying, like 5, 10, maybe 1, 2,
Yeah.
right now, but maybe 5, 10, 20 years. That the nurturing and the time and the community building that they're putting in now is going to come back to them tenfold, I really believe.
Yeah.
And what I'm also seeing is folks who can, well, not only, well, fashion, I think, lends itself well to a virtual environment, because aesthetically it is a really nice, it has a really nice fit. But I do think that brands who understand that they can gamify and interact with users using their products are doing a good job at that.
Mm, I love that. And so that actually leads to, I mean, there's so many different ways that could go, right? But would love to kind of dive into kind of like specifics and case studies and examples that you guys all can point to, right? So I think number one, it's like, what are, from your guys' point of view, some of the most interesting kind of activations that you think are really, are things that you want to point to and be like, look at this. Like this was a really great example of, I think, metaverse and or immersive media, right? When we talk about, you can do things in the digital, and I'm not going to say phygital. I hate that term. So it's physical and digital, right? Being able to kind of bridge that gap and do both. So let's start with like the fun stuff, right? And then I also want to dive into like, what are the worst examples? So actually, if you guys want to go with both, you're welcome to, but would love to kind of hear some specifics that you guys know of as experts in the industry. Some of the best examples of metaverse and immersive media coming to life, and some of the worst examples and things we should try and avoid.
I like to talk about the absolute build that we did in
Mm-hmm.
2022. One of the things that I thought was great about it, and there was a lot of great things about it, but one of the greatest things about it, I think, was the idea that they had um, a way for the metaverse to speak to the festival goers at Coachella. So this was an absolute Coachella activation. It was celebrating I think it's 10 years of Absolute being the vodka of the festival. They made a build inside Decentraland. Then they had the same type of build, a similar version of build for the Absolute tent in Coachella. They set it up so everyone in Coachella could see what was going on in the metaverse. And then we partied all day from morning to night just with the festival goers. They were able to see us and speak to us through an avatar. So we were having conversations back and forth all day with festival goers. And I thought that was a really great example of kind of a mixed reality, the first steps towards these kind of mixed reality hybrid events. And I think that's going to really be key when we're making events in the future with brands, is to bring the real life communities and the metaverse communities together and enhance the experience that way. So I thought that was a really great thing that they did in 2022. They have also been back in 2023, and I think they're even planning some more activations in the future as well. So I love that consistency that they're doing. They're not here to just drop their message and leave. They're in it for the long haul. They want to be the brand of the metaverse, and I think that's great.
I'm into that. Sorry about that. I accidentally hit refresh, but I caught the tail end of that. You're talking about the
Oh
absolute
my God.
activation, yeah? Sorry about that. Also, I think for audio purposes, maybe myself and the panelists, if we want to head over to kind of like the steps and then kind of do a more classic kind of facing the audience, because I think that'll help with the audio, if that's cool with you guys. So let's just move over here, and we'll kind of sit at the base of the steps and then kind of face outwards towards our guests. So I think the spatial audio will work a little bit better. Um, so if you're a guest, please come. Oh, we're just going to sit on the bottom of the steps, I guess. So if you just want to come here, and hopefully that helps with the audio, because I know some people are having trouble. So we'll do a very classic panelist facing guests and guests facing us, just so the audio will work a bit better that way, I think. Yeah, and hit C if you want to kind of sit down and listen. Yeah, C will have an emote wheel so you can sit and hang out. All right, cool. So continuing onwards, I want to hear some other examples here. So I'm gonna throw it over to Justin, Katie. yeah, what do you guys think are some big wins, some big losses in terms of different activations? Because I totally agree and hear where Tank's coming from. Is this is where it's all headed, right? People are spending more and more time in the digital world. They're So yeah, Katie,
Yeah, I'll jump in quickly. I'll be specific, but I'm going to start off broad. I think IP and entertainment is an incredible medium.
Yes.
And so I think that like what we're seeing with, for instance, The Walking Dead, right? So The Walking Dead they did one of the earliest games with the sandbox. And what's interesting about them is it's such an obvious, okay, The Walking Dead, zombie apocalypse video game, right? And so there's that bridge where you can actually take the IP and make it into an experience that people want to immerse themselves in. So it's not a mirror to mirror of like what you're watching on TV is what you're gonna stream in the metaverse, but what it is it's a evolution of that content in a way that makes sense for the environment that it's going into. So I think that's a good example. But I also think if you think about, for instance, The Last of Us, which was a video game first and then became entertainment IP, I think when you start to kind of bridge those two things, it allows you to see the opportunity for storytelling and immersive content that any brand can bring to the metaverse.
Yeah, not Last of Us is obviously big. Have they done any kind of like metaverse activations? I actually wasn't aware. But it's more like that's the opportunity, is what you're saying, because it went from video game to media and all that. Yeah.
I don't believe they.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that, but
No. But I hear where you're coming from, right? Like it's all storytelling, it's all narrative, and it all kind of ties together in different ways. So I very much hear that. And actually, while we're with you, Katie, I would love to kind of dive a little bit into EveryRealm very quickly. If you could just kind of tell the folks a bit more about EveryRealm and kind of the role you guys see yourselves playing in the kind of development of the metaverse, and where do you guys see yourselves in this ecosystem, and how are you helping build out this world?
Absolutely. So we invest and we also develop products, platforms, and technology or infrastructure that supports virtual worlds, specifically around social virtual worlds. So the metaverse is absolutely part of this. We actually started our company in the metaverse and in metaverses, and I've known Justin for a very long time. I think Mona is absolutely breathtaking, and I salute him because he has built this so quickly, and it's pretty incredible. But the reason why we ended up kind of broadening to immersive media versus the metaverse is because I think most people associate the metaverse with Web3, but Web3 is on its way. But we also work with centralized metaverses such as Roblox, Fortnite, Minecraft. And so all those metaverses, which again is also a similar vein in that it's UGC creator content, is social video gaming essentially. So it's a place that people can congregate, they can play different games, they can socialize, they can collaborate, they can be whomever they want to be via an avatar, a digital identity. And we see that as the future. And we look to these younger generations who have adopted this, whether it was catapulted because of COVID, who knows, but they are in these spaces, they are consuming this content at a wild rate. They are fully immersed. And so our products support that virtual lifestyle, if you will.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then that actually kind of leads me to another train of thought, right? Which is, I think we talk about centralized versus decentralized metaverses and, all these different environments, right? But I guess just being frank, right? From my point of view, I think in terms of, larger adoption, I think the reason Roblox and Fortnite are so successful is, people have that hardware, right? It's easy for anyone to just kind of pick up a PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, PC, and just start playing those video games, and they're suddenly in it without realizing it. And that is where, honestly, having that centralized, I guess, hardware and companies really work, right? So then that actually becomes a question for the Web3 side of things, which is, as we think about decentralized metaverses, I guess the question becomes like, how do you win against that, and how do you grow, and how do you evolve, and how do you start onboarding more users as quickly as possible, right?
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
yeah.
I think it's also very important to note that Roblox was founded in 2004.
Yeah.
So I think they have a head start.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, they've had a lot of time to develop and produce. And so I do think that I believe I align with Justin, and Web3 is the future. We just kind of have to be patient while that's being developed.
We'd love to hear from Justin and Tang on that as well. In terms of, like, obviously, I think I think most people here, we're Web3 believers and adopters and users. I think the question is, we all want the same thing, which is more of these decentralized metaverses to be successful. So what will it take, I guess, and how can we all be helpful to get us there sooner?
Well, I think Katie's right when she says that we're so new in comparison to Roblox. We're still figuring it out, and I think that decentralization, just because it's decentralized doesn't mean we don't need a leadership team or somebody with a strong vision to kind of guide us where we want to go. We need to, as a group, decide what success looks like for each of our individual platforms, and have a team that's in place that steers towards that. It doesn't have to be anarchy, but we're still figuring it out, right? We're still trying to figure out how that structure is going to work and to look. But I think we're on the right path. What I love about decentralization, decentralized platforms, is that the community that it brings in is strong and committed and here for the long haul, because we're all investors in it. So it's definitely the future. We just are during growing pains right now.
Yeah, definitely some growing pains. Justin, what do you think about that?
Yeah, definitely plus 100, Tang Poco and Katie. Yeah, I think so. Speaking from the perspective of where we sit with Mona, a large focus of ours is really around that ownership, and I think that's, again, where a huge piece that decentralization plays. Just the fact that as a creator, if you could build this 3D asset and it's useful in Mona, but it could also be useful in other platforms. A great example of this is we actually recently took a 3D environment, a space that was minted in Mona, and we brought it into Fortnite in creator mode, and we ran around playing Fortnite inside of it as well. And I think,
amazing.
And like our focus really has been building this really incredible community of really world-class 3D artists, game designers, architects, and communities that are really excited about this idea of ownership and being able to really freely own and use your assets anywhere. I think we're definitely early, but it's only a matter of time until more and more creators start to catch on. And if you look at all the creators that are building on Roblox, building in Fortnite, pretty soon they're going to realize all of the benefits that blockchain and Web3 have to offer them as well. And they're going to see that there's so much more upside when you look towards decentralization. So I think that's really key from sort of, if we're thinking about decentralized platforms at a platform level, it's really about ownership. I think that's a really key factor. And then the other thing I'll say is the user experience is just probably the most important thing. I think for decentralized platforms to exist and compete, the user experience really has to be unparalleled, and it has to be able to compete with incumbent like Fortnite and Roblox. So that's also really important.
I love that. And I would love to kind of double click a bit more on that as well, because I think obviously within Web3, something we talk about all the time, the C word, as they say, is community, right? In a positive way. So with that being said, we'd love to better understand with Mona, like, what is your guys' approach to community building and kind of like rallying the troops behind that, building more spaces, right? So how does one get involved? How does that work, right? So like if the community says, hey, we want to go build a 3D space on Mona, is it as simple as you just go on the website and you just set it up? Do you talk to someone and or like, I guess the bigger question is like, what happens if you don't have any experience building these types of worlds? Like how does one go about that? Because I think I'm sure there are a lot of communities out there who would be curious and interested.
Yeah.
They just don't know where to get started.
Yeah, I love that. That's such a great question. Definitely, we have a ton of great info up on our website, but we also have a really amazing in-house studios team, and we love to help other communities build for the metaverse if they don't have 3D artists or access to the knowledge to build their own spaces. We'd love to help. We're currently helping some of the leading Web3 creators and communities build their metaverse spaces as well. We're working with Proof and Moonbirds, Cyber Brokers. We're also working with Squiggles and the Squiggle community to actually build what they're calling the Squiggleverse, working with Snowfro. And so, yeah, we love partnering with creators who have really innovative ideas for spaces they want to bring for their communities. So we provide that support if needed. And then beyond that, really, our Discord is ground zero for all of our community building. So I definitely encourage anyone interested in taking part, maybe not even as a builder, but if you want to host events, definitely check out our Discord. We have an amazing team that's helping to run this event today too. We have Ty and Yunji in here. And, we host weekly events, weekly live streams and variety shows. And then beyond that, I'll end on this note as well. For community building, we try to empower creators and community members as much as we can. So that means we host regular build-a-thons where we try to encourage new creators to join and try to submit for different 3D challenges that we have. And most recently, we announced our first ever grants program where we actually accepted our first cohort where we gave away basically $20,000 for some of the most innovative ideas for metaverse building, which we're going to have some more announcements about soon. But yeah, community, like you said, it's like capital C, so important for all of it.
I love that. And that actually kind of leads me, I think, a good person to turn to here, right? In terms of, thinking about the day-to-day tactics. Wait, also, I just want to make sure, can you guys hear me? I feel like my audio just changed for a second.
I can
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, my AirPods are like dying, so I'm like scrambling with like one AirPod in and the other charging. But no, Tang, I would love to hear from you as someone who literally, runs a community, right? One of the premier communities in the metaverse. What are some of the more, I think a question some people have, right, is when we talk about metaverse, and if it's not a video game, right? Because I think it's like, what do you do, right? Because in a video game, it's pretty clear there's a game you play, but when one hangs out in these virtual spaces, can you just shed some light, I think, so people can better understand, like, what are the most interesting and fun things that you guys do as a community and just to interact, right? Because I think, again, it's all about kind of getting people excited about what the opportunities are and getting creative with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have kind of two different types of users in the metaverse. You have the creators, and we're doing all we can with the platforms, with things like grant programs, with build-a-thons, which I love that, Justin. I'd love to know more about your build-a-thons. I think that's great. We have people that are building experiences for the community, and then we have the people that come in and enjoy those experiences that aren't necessarily building yet, but they're there to sort of network and have relationships and interact with people. I mean, for them, it's really a social platform. And I really think that's, so much of what the metaverse is for people to just interact and socialize and have experiences and make new friends and network inside a virtual space. So a lot of the times we're just hanging out with people. Sometimes we'll be playing golf, or we'll be, at Decentraland games playing maybe some card games, or doing some parkour, but that seems secondary to the connections that we're making from person to person. So I think as a community leader, what I'm always trying to do is sort of facilitate really meaningful interactions with people. One example of that, and it seems a little bit silly now, but I think if we have any guests here that have come to the party, it actually does feel really great, as we have one party which is sort of like a theme party. So it's kind of like having like a Met Gala once a week in the metaverse at my venue, where we'll say, like, let's say it's a white party. And if you guys have ever been to a white or a black and white party in real life, you know that it can be a lot of fun to go to a place with somebody where there's another 50, 100 people all dressed up in kind of the same theme as you. And there's this spirit spirit of connection that happens with people in that sense. And people love the consistency of that. They keep coming back. I think facilitating relationships between people is really, really important. I'm just reading what Guest 90 says here. Well, in the virtual world, you can spill the wine. Yeah, just making sure that in addition to these great user experiences and in addition to great environments, that we find ways to facilitate interaction with people that mean something. And that's when people come back, when they have that spirit of family. I like to call it a culture of belonging. And that's the kind of thing we should be trying to foster in the metaverse all the time.
That's great. That's great. Building community on all different levels and just getting weird with it. And I think that just something that really resonated with me there was the idea of, I think it's just the sense of belonging, I guess, is the thing that really hit home. I think it's just like being able to be in a room, see a bunch of other people who are actually just kind of with the same vibe, same intentions, and just doing cool shit, right? It's
totally. And I think the Web3 space really leans into that anyway. Like the whole idea of buying an NFT and a PFP that you own, it's sort of like an embodiment of the things that you value. And then all of a sudden you have 9,999 other friends that you're all, meeting up. Like, that's a really strong allure to that. So if you can continue to do those sorts of things in the metaverse, you've got a family there waiting for you already.
That's great. That's great. And that actually is like, that's getting my brain firing on a bunch of different cylinders. Because now I'm like, Justin, why aren't you guys, well, maybe you aren't, but like, you guys should be building things for like Pudgies, right? And like some of these other like top-notch communities. Like, you guys should just go to them and just build it for them, and be like, bring your people here, How awesome would that be? Just thinking out loud.
I love it. I love it. We might steal that.
Yeah, just build
Iceberg world coming. Iceberg world.
I mean, come on, they're already trying to do the immersive stuff, right? How powerful would it be? You go to them and be like, here's this iceberg world we built. You can take any of your Pudgies, turn them into your avatars, and you can all hang out in a virtual space. Like, it's like, what was that video game? Club Penguin, right? But it's like that, but 3D and better, right?
Yeah.
Anyways,
everyone gets their own igloo.
Everyone gets their own igloo. I mean, that's the exciting part. So it just gets me excited. Cool. And then another thing I'd love to dive into from, I guess is hardware, right? Because I think when we talk about metaverse, it's so often focused on the software side and, where the tech, what's the tech, where are the platforms, what are the things we're using? But I'm curious to hear if we have any perspectives on, and again, I think this speaks to kind of like where we are in the industry, right? It is early. The hardware's not quite there yet. But what are some of the interesting things we see coming up? And how do we think that's going to evolve over the next couple of years? AR and VR are obviously like a really big, or they were a really big buzzword. I have a lot of thoughts, but I'm going to reserve them. So would love to kind of hear where you guys feel about how hardware fits in this whole equation. And then more specifically around AR and VR and how that fits into this. Do we need it? Do we not need it? Is it going to be complementary? If so, when? Open question, I guess, on this one.
Well, as a marketer in the room, I probably shouldn't be speaking about devices, but I mean, we see it as it's not a need to have right now. I think there's a lot that can be done on a 2D screen. I think look at video games. Most people are not plugging into a VR headset right now. But I do see it as an enhancement in the future, and I also do see it as lending itself better to certain metaverse experiences than others.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think it's you're gonna have the option, and like Katie said, some experiences are. I think it's really important to consider the distribution for the content that you're making, like from the perspective of a creator. When I was at Magic Leap, a question that was always asked was like, why would this be AR? And so I think the hardware devices, they lend themselves to certain types of experiences. And I think it's really exciting when you sort of consider what the limitations of the platform are that you're building on. This is through the lens of a creator, but also I think I'm not a marketer, but I think it is something for brands to consider. Like, why would they build a VR experience versus just a web-based game? So yeah, I think like hardware, it'll come into play in terms of devices next week. Everyone is, depending on what Apple announces, I'm sure everyone is going to start talking about VR, AR headsets again after their presentation on the 5th. But I think you're always going to have both, and ultimately, looking further down the line, I think hardware in terms of AR, VR, we are going to see more and more content blending seamlessly with the world around us as hardware gets better. So yeah, I think it's definitely something to continue looking forward to. The other note I want to make about hardware is Web GPU, which the experience we're in right now, we're running in WebGL, basically is what it's called. And there is something that has been worked on for a long time, and I think it's in preview in Chrome now, but it's this notion of using your computer's GPU to run WebGL experiences. And that's basically going to make all these immersive 3D experiences much more performant, much more, it'll enable higher quality experiences. So that's something to look forward to even sooner, I would say, than something like really good AR devices. So yeah.
There we go. There's some of that alpha I was looking for, right? Because I think I'm in full agreement, right? I think AR and VR are complementary, but we don't necessarily need them. But just better understanding. And so, yeah. And actually, I do want to leave some time for questions. But Tang, do you have any other final thoughts on that to add? Or you feel good?
I agree with both of them. I think it's a great question and something that we need to make sure that narrative is out there too, that being in the metaverse, you really don't need to have that hardware. It's important that people know that. I personally don't wear VR goggles when I play ever.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, cool. So I think that actually are all the questions for now. But well, we can always keep chatting, but I do want to at least spend some time for guests to kind of ask questions. So with that being said, I actually would like to open up the floor and see if anyone has any thoughts or questions or things they want to ask our awesome panelists here. I see a question from guest 90. We could definitely talk about the technical requirements. I think that could actually be very fun and different from what you typically hear on one of these, but I'll kind of open up the floor and say, if you have a question, just press the button, just press unmute on 1, which is the number 1, and we're open. Yeah. And if not, we can just keep chatting. I know people can be shy on these types of things. No takers?
Well,
Can I actually?
Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, there you go.
Oh,
Well, I mean, back to just that minor cloud GPU thing, but there was also the idea as well recently of just, especially in terms of
definitely a thing, and it can be good. I think the biggest drawback that I've seen so far with it is really about latency and just internet speed. It's basically, for those who don't know, it's the idea of like running a computer in the cloud that can run a really high quality 3D experience, but then you're just limited by the actual internet speed and also the type of hardware you're running on. So it's not perfect, but that is also another solution there. And I think your other question was about security, and I'm really sorry to hear that those scammers are out there. It's definitely a thing. I think it goes back to kind of the UX thing. Whether it's Web3, I feel like Web3 gets a bad rap for all the scammers that are abound, but scammers are everywhere. Especially in Web2 as well. And I think it's just a lot of it is about like the UX, and it's just something to be hyper vigilant about. I think we have to publish more information, education on it. But yeah, I think security is definitely a huge area of focus, and it needs to be. But yeah, thank you so much, Guest 90, for building with us. It's awesome to see you here.
Amazing. There we go. So I think Guest 68 had a couple different questions around kind of like moderation, I think. And I don't know, Guest 68, if you want to talk, or I'm happy to kind of recite for you. You let us know. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I think Ty resurfaced the question. Okay, no, Mike, that's fine. Yeah, so the question here was, how do individuals or group moderation / comfort tools play into the UX? So whoever wants to take this one, I think maybe Tang could be a good person for this. Yeah.
We've been super lucky in Decentraland in that I think just because the community is so small, and again, you're talking about those community members who come in with the philosophy of decentralization in their hearts, and we've been really, really lucky to not have a lot of need for moderation. That said, it does happen. And for instance, at my venue, somebody will come in, trolls are everywhere. People want attention. They'll start saying some things. We've got bouncing tools, we've got blocking tools, but I agree that a lot more work really needs to be done in terms of moderation. And I think it's better that we think about what needs to be done now before we need it. I've just been I've been really lucky so far that I haven't had to use it too much. I've seen in other metaverses, though, we've gone into worlds and I've seen some pretty nasty comments there that people just they can't stop people from talking. And yeah, we definitely need to work on that. Anybody else have anything to share? Justin, I'd love to know what Mona does in terms of moderation and comfort tools.
Yeah, it's moderation is definitely needed, and it is. I think it's back to that like whole UX thing, especially for folks who want to host events. Yeah, this is actually a little bit of Mona Alpha, but it's one of the next things that we're going to be shipping are better UX, better host and moderation tools for folks who want to host events. Thankfully, we haven't had many instances of a lot of trolls, which is great, but it is something that is going to be important to be able to give event hosts and owners of their spaces the ability to moderate the types of folks that come in and interact with them. So yeah, I think security, privacy, all these are really, really top priority for us. So yeah, it's something that's really important.
Amazing. And with that, okay, actually, yeah, and then let's make, we have enough time for 1 or 2 more questions. I will say, just for everyone, there will be a POAP after this. I was talking with the team. If you have the POAP app, we'll have a secret word that should be live right now. So if you have the app, just open the app, and the secret word is Metaverse. Nothing crazy. If you do not have the POAP app, which is fine, and I anticipated this, all we need is your email, and we can airdrop. We can send you a custom link for anyone who has attended this event. So, Ty, if you could drop the link for the event in the chat, everyone who registers will be collecting emails and wallets, and then from there, I can email you a custom link. So that you can go and mint your own POAP. For those who may not be aware, POAP is Proof of Attendance Protocol. It's basically like you showed up to this event, right? And then as Myosin, as we grow and as we continue to run these webinars, there will be future utility baked into these POAPs. TLDR, the alpha, token gated content, events, the list goes on. Anyways, but I do want to kind of hand it off to the last question here. So I think it was about interoperability with metaverses. If we could resurface that question, you just want to type it one more time, but I think that was the question. So I don't know. I think maybe we could throw this one to Katie and get her thoughts, and then everyone else, of course. Yeah.
Sure. I mean, I think interoperability is the North Star, right? As Justin was saying, how cool would it be if you can take your digital identity that's yours and only yours and bring it from one metaverse to another? I hope it's sooner than I had anticipated a year ago. And I think that given how much younger generations, I know I keep hitting this beat, but I really do feel that this is it's not where we're going, it's here. But these younger generations are living online, and so if we can get to a place where there is interoperability, there's a seamless way that you can get from one place to another, it would be incredible. And I do believe that we're going to get there soon.
I think we're already starting to see it. The first time I'd ever heard of a VRM was last year when Justin invited me to be part of the Genesis Avatar Marketplace drop. And I was absolutely thrilled to be able to make something that I could take into Hyperfy, that I could take into Mona, that I could take into OnCyber. And I've seen just an explosion in this and the importance of this ever since then. So for me, it was groundbreaking to see you guys do that. Now I'm seeing all the other metaverses are talking about doing it. Everybody's making their own VRM. I've got mine. And, when I'm starting to talk to new metaverses and they're asking me for feedback on it, that's one of the first things I bring up is the interoperability with VRMs, because it is our digital identity. And it's the first step in doing what Katie's talking about, where all these metaverses are going to be kind of intermingled and mixed. I really feel like I almost feel like we should all as individuals have our own micro metaverses, kind of like the modern version of our MySpace page, where it's our space and our things. And from there, it's a hub to go to all the different favorites and places that we want to go to. And we should be able to just cross back and forth all the time and bring our communities, instead of being so segmented and tribalist between these different metaverses, but to just join forces together. I think that's how we're going to evolve and get mainstream adoption.
I love that. And actually, I didn't even hear the term until just now. Can you tell us just a little bit more, so I think people can, find and learn more about VRMs, Tang
Justin.
or Justin? Oh wait, I don't. We're just he may have just accidentally popped out.
I saw him run away.
Am I still here?
Oh, yeah. You're there in
Yeah.
the back. Oh, he just left.
Is there an
and he
echo?
came back.
Hold on, I'm gonna
No.
reload real quick.
Okay. Anyways, that was incredible. Yeah.
I don't know much about the technical side of VRMs, but I just know that it's an avatar that we can take into different metaverses. And that means so much. Digital identity means so much in the metaverse, especially to the younger generation, like Katie is talking about, the Alpha and the Gen Y. I mean, it's who you are. It's how you represent yourself to others. It's your personal brand, which becomes more and more important all the time. And being able to look like yourself, or at least like some version of yourself easily, is really important. I also love that a lot of PFP projects right now are dropping VRMs. So again, that's an avatar in your backpack. So I can go in and represent as my favorite brand or my favorite PFP. I love that as well.
That's what I was literally about to just start to dive into, is just this idea of I think it's, for a while it feels like, NFTs and what metaverse, obviously related, and there are like metaverse NFTs obviously with Decentraland and everything, but it feels like there's been this divide between, the people who love their PFPs and they love collecting different collections, right? But actually being able to port that into a metaverse has been kind of like this thing that some communities have done, but it hasn't been quite unlocked yet. And I think once that can be more easily activated for any community, like there's a lot of opportunity here, I guess. And I think it's like everyone in this bear market too, like everyone needs to collaborate and work together. And this idea of, Web3 communities really starting to actually interact and mingle in the metaverse. I mean, that's that's community, right? And that's that kind of use case where actually, you know, brands will want to get involved. I think other communities can partner, and it kind of brings all of it to life beyond just a Discord server. So I think there's a lot of opportunity. Yeah.
I think so too. And I think brands are starting to understand that now. You know, they're slow to move, they're slow to grasp ideas, but the brands that I'm talking to now are really starting to get it, that it's really about community building and new ways of collaborating with people. I think there's still a lot of future and a lot of hope for marketing in the metaverse.
It's coming soon. It's coming soon. Yeah, and Tank, we should talk about that because there's a lot of stuff we can do there together. But we'll get there. All right, cool. So, wait, is Justin back? I was gonna just wrap it up here, but I don't know if he. Yeah, I just want to say, yeah, we are at time. So I think with all that, unless there are any other questions, I'll leave space for one more. It's going once, going twice. Feel free to speak up. Otherwise, forever hold your peace. All right, I think we're going to questions. So all that being said, thank you so much to everyone who came through. Remember, if you do have a pod app, it's open now for the next, I guess, 3 minutes under Metaverse. This has been really incredible. We'll post the video of this later on. We'll clean it up with our production team and get it all ready. We'll share it on our socials. And actually, Tang, Katie, if you guys want to talk about very quickly where people can find you. I think Ty's been posting, but just one last time. Or not, yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
So I take a back seat. I'm behind the camera, but if you guys want to reach out, please reach out on LinkedIn, and I will absolutely get back to you.
There you go. You can find Katie Wicken on LinkedIn. Yep. And EveryRealm.
Not on Twitter anymore. Yeah, and EveryRealm on Twitter.
I'm the best place to get a hold of me is on Twitter. It's just at TangPoco. I always say the metaverse is better with friends, so make sure that you come in and check out some events and have some fun and make some friends. One of the first events I ever did was with EveryRealm, actually, a long time ago, and I just want to say they were a really significant part of
Thank you.
showing me.
We had fun.
We did. A really significant part of showing me what I wanted to do in the space, the things that I wanted to accomplish, and the things that I like giving to the community. So thank you so much, EveryRealm, for taking a chance on me a long time ago before anybody else did. And same with you, Justin. It's been so great getting to know you over the last little while, and getting to be a part of your Genesis avatar drop was amazing. And then Blake, we've talked a few times, and I just think you're brilliant. So I was so happy to be here. Thank you, everybody.
Amazing.
And thank you.
Yeah, I just want to say, yeah, thank you, Blake and Myosin, for hosting this. And I mean, shoot, TangPoco, Katie, you guys are inspiration for everything that we're doing too. And I mean, I don't know if we plugged this, but the space that we're in, Aries House, this is part of EveryRealm's The Row, which is this incredible, iconic series of just the best architecture built for the metaverse with some really incredible artists like Daniel Arsham and others. So I just have to plug that, and thank you, Katie, for
thank you
for building for these incredible spaces. And TangPoco, so excited that you're part of our Genesis avatar drop. I was rocking your baby doll avatar earlier, but just so grateful to be here with you all and everyone here. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, and the feeling is mutual. This is such a wonderful group of people. We also, so obviously we've worked with Mona, and we worked with Tang, and we also work with Myosin, and you guys are absolute influencers when it comes to the future of agency work and talent pools. And so thank you.
Hell yeah. Brilliant work, everyone. This has been incredible. This is an incredible conversation. Thanks to Mona, Tang, EveryRealm, and everyone here just for showing up. And yeah, we're going to do a lot more of these. So thanks so much. And we'll see you guys all online and in the metaverse. Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks so much.